So prevailing wage, the rates that are bounded in the contract remain in effect for 12 months from the anniversary date, which is either the contract bid anniversary date, the master purchase order bid anniversary date, and the purchase order issue date. We will do on-site, so please advise your employees that prevailing wage project managers will be authorized to observe and contact employees' interviews. Certified payroll. Certified payroll records must be submitted electronically using LCP Tracker. LCP Tracker provides an online system that will allow the contractor and subcontractors submitted their certified payroll electronically at no cost to the contractor if the payroll information is inputted directly to the LCP Tracker. For penalties, invoices for payments are routed to the prevailing wage investigator for compliance and final approval. The message generated from the texture is not the final approval. Under the ordinance, our office will withhold any payments for noncompliance of the prime or the subcontractor at all tiers. Penalties must be assessed for further to correct an underpayment within 30 days after receiving the notice of the underpayment. If you do have any questions, we do have a website. It's www.denverauditors.org. Is there any questions for me right now on prevailing wage?
We're going to take questions at the end.
Okay.
Thank you. So this one is a little unique because there's 5 different scopes of work, and the prevailing wage doesn't necessarily apply to all 5. So in the RFP, there's an overview in there about what would apply and what wouldn't apply. If you have any questions, probably the best way to deal with this while you're going through the RFP is email dottie.procurement@denvergov.org, and we'll be able to get it over to Naomi and over to the auditor's office, and they'll be able to answer it. So if you get down in the nitty gritty and say, I don't understand how prevailing would apply, please let us know. Okay, we're going to move to the next one. And can we click out of that? Is that on your screen? Let me see if I can. That was on mine. Okay, Treasury. Let's turn to the Treasury. Is anyone on the line from Treasury? So this is all about taxes. Sales and use taxes, occupational privilege taxes. Again, these are different scopes of work. So probably the best thing is if there's a link on the agenda, which is on Work for Denver. Look and see if you have any questions, and we can send that over to Treasury and say, how would this affect my bid, or how would it affect my price worksheet? Okay, the next one. See it. Anybody on there from insurance, from risk management?
Hey everybody, it's April Hansen.
Yay.
How are you guys? Hey. So this is April Hansen. I'm the risk manager for the City and County of Denver, and I'm here to tell you about the exciting insurance requirements that we have for this. Again, because we have several different scopes of work, we are going with initially the standard insurance requirements being commercial general liability, workers' comp, and business auto. Additional requirements will be added per the scope of work once it's assigned. So please talk to your brokers and review the scope of work that you are applying for, and once it's assigned to you, and then talk about what is appropriate for your line of business. At that point, we will be adding additional coverages that could be sexual abuse and molestation, cyber liability, professional liability, things of that nature. So please factor that into your operational cost. Talk to your brokers ahead of time to see what might be appropriate. That way there won't be any surprises. These additional requirements are not necessarily negotiable. However, if you have a different line of coverage that is transferable, or that is applicable to your line of work that may serve in place of one of the ones that we add after the fact, we can discuss that. But please be prepared for additional coverages based on the scope of work once it is assigned. And we expect all insurance to be accounted for on an accord form. This is a standard form used within the industry. Again, if there is a problem with your broker providing that form, we can accept alternate methods, but the accord form is the preferred. And we do have language that is non-negotiable, including additional insured language and waiver of subrogation expectations. So please be familiar with that as well, and a sample should be included within the RFP. That's it.
Thank you, April. You did that so much better than I do. So thank you for joining us.
My
And
pleasure.
if you have any questions, we can do it during the Q&A time, or better, probably best, is Procurement, and we can send an addendum out with answers to any of the technical questions about insurance. Okay, so next is actually up to me. This is actually my job. I'll put my hat back on. I am the administrator for this RFP. Just basically, this is how we make the sausage. You know, this is the logistics of any kind of contract administration, contract procurement. So BidNet, everything I push out will all be through BidNet. You should all be, if you haven't downloaded the RFP as a document holder, you should. Even if you're not looking at, even if you don't know if you're going to put a proposal in, really important because that allows us to share that out of who's looking at this and allows all of these members to know who's actually interested in this proposal. So I would recommend when you get back to go onto BidNet, if you haven't downloaded the RFP and the documents, I would. The solicitation number is listed there. It's listed all over the RFP and all over the agenda, so it should be easy to find. Anytime I put anything out, an addendum or a communication, I will send out something through BidNet, but I'll also send it out in another communication. So you should be bombarded with communication about this one. If you ever feel like you're not, please reach out to dottie.procurement@denvergov.org, and I'll make sure that you feel welcome again. Solicitation document report. At the end of this meeting tomorrow morning, what I'm going to do is I'll send out through our communication center on BidNet, which is on the left-hand side. You click on there, you can look at everything that we've sent out, and then all the addendums, you can look at everything we've sent out. So in the communication, what I'll do is I'll download the solicitation documents report. If you have downloaded the RFP, you will be on that report. I'll also scan the sign the sheets, and we'll also take who's ever on virtual. So we will know everybody that attended this meeting. We'll also know everyone that is downloaded the RFP. The great thing about that is, example, you're bidding on one of the 5 scopes, and you decide, well, I need a sub for something. There'll be a lot of options there, people that are very interested in helping out with this effort. So you're going to have everything we have, really, literally, almost when we have it. This team is very responsive and will be able to answer your questions, get things out to you very quickly. Colorado Secretary of State, you must be registered in the Colorado Secretary of State to do business with the city. The next one is SAM, which is the System for Award Management. Anytime we do contracts, especially federally funded contracts, you have to be registered with the System for Award Management. It's free. It's a government federal management system. The thing is, I would be way ahead of this if I were you. Like when you put your proposal in, I'd also jump into SAM and just, if you're not registered or haven't looked at it in a while, go check it out. SAM, you get a couple weeks behind. So it's not like you won't be the ones. We just want to make sure that when we get to the contract stage and you have been chosen, you are all primed and ready.
I should also want to note that it also applies to nonprofits as well.
Yeah, the way we contract is that we don't contract with anybody that isn't in SAM, whether federal dollars or not. If everybody has to be in SAM, so I would say if you're not, or if you haven't looked at your registration at all, pop in there and see if it's active. You have to re-register every year. Not that difficult to do, but it takes them a little bit of time on their end, and I don't want anybody to get jumped up. Addenda. So if anything we do, and I actually have one to post later on today, this team's very responsive because this timeline for this procurement is accelerated. So they're ready and willing to answer all your questions, or anything happens with the pricing worksheet or anything happens with the RFP, we're going to get that out to you very quickly. And how we do that is through addendum. That'll be in BidNet. Again, you'll be over communicated with. I'll send it out, I'll communicate it out, I'll do everything I have to do to get it out and say, this is the new information for you. Part of your response, well, and we'll talk about that in a minute, is that you have to attest to the fact that you have read all the addendum and understand it. I don't know about the understanding part, but at least let me know that you've read it, because I don't want anybody to come back in the 9th hour or 11th hour and go, I didn't see that you changed A, B, and C. So we're going to over communicate with you, but it's also part of your responsibility to make sure you read all the over communication and make sure that nothing gets left behind. Okay, next slide. So now this is the fun part. We went all through all the logistics of procurement. This is the fun part because this is a very unique RFP for us. I'll also send this slideshow out. So we're recording this, so you're gonna get this in a lot of different places. There are 5 different scopes of work. So I kind of say, this is an expression that I always get backwards. We got one stone that's gonna kill 5 birds. Now, that's probably rude, but so we're using one RFP to really procure 5 different contracts. They also don't have to be different contracts. The unique thing about this is there's 5 different scopes of work: program management, reception center, sheltering sites, transportation, and donations, which is operations and coordination. You can bid on one, you can bid on multiple. And we'll talk about the mechanisms behind that, like the logistics of how to bid on more than one. We try to make it as efficient as possible. But the unique thing is you really can look in the RFP and there's different isolated scopes of work for each one of these. So it'll allow you to really kind of see what we're looking for. And I'll have, when Mimi gets up here or the panel, they can talk about the rationale behind why we went to 5 and then kind of what we're looking for as we move forward. Next slide. So try to make this efficient as possible, because what would be boring, well, not boring, redundant for you is to have, let's say I want to submit all 5. I want to do all 5 books, and make you submit all 5 different proposals. That to me doesn't make sense. So what we're going to do is we've broken it into packages. And hopefully it makes sense in the RFP, but I'll do an example in a second because it can be a little, we've never done this before. The first package is the general stuff, the general proposal things. All the stuff I just talked about, a cover letter, all of those things that we only want you to have to do it once. So you do one package one. It doesn't matter how many scopes you bid on, one package one. Then you get to set the specific categories in package 2. And this one, you'll see in the RFP, is broken down into the 5 categories. If you're only bidding on one category, let's say transportation is what we do, that's the only one you have to respond to in that package 2. If you want to do more than one, then you'll respond to and they're looking at your approach, your qualifications, what are you bringing to it for that particular package. So you can do 1, you can do 5, you can do as many, 5 is probably the most. I wouldn't do any more than 5, but so minimum 1, maximum 5. I'm going to give you an example because I think this is confusing. Let's go to the next slide. So here's the examples. I'm proposer A. My business does program management, sheltering sites, and reception center. So when I submit my PDF into BidNet, I'm going to do 1 package 1. I'm going to do 3 package 2s with 1 and 3, all in 1 PDF. But I'm proposer B. I only want to do 1, program management. That's all I do. I live and eat and breathe program management. 1 package 1, 1 package 2. If there's questions about this, we can talk about it later, but hopefully the examples have given you we're trying to make it as efficient as possible so you don't have to just copy and paste everything from one to the other. Okay, next one. My last one. So now, accelerated timeline. So I want to be very clear, and then when Mimi comes up, she'll also talk to this too. We realize this puts everyone in a place where we're running very fast, but right now, at least in the city, we have to run very fast. This is an emergency situation that we're all in. So as partners with us, we're going to take this journey together. Question deadline. Question deadline is October 2nd. So that means all your questions have to be in from today until, and we've already had a few questions already, October 2nd. The reason why we're doing that is because we're going to close this thing on the 13th. And part of our deal to all of you is we won't close something without having 5 business days for the last addendum. What we don't want to do is your packages are ready to go in, and I send you an addendum out that morning saying, oops, we changed something. So our commitment to you is we'll give you 5 business days. That's why the 2nd is built in there. And then these people are very responsive. So when we get a question, we're going to be shooting out these addendum as fast as we can, because we know that's part of you're waiting to find out what your answers are before you can move on. So that's our commitment to you. Then we've got the due date for the first phase of this response is the 13th. Then you got the 18th. Okay, so I like this because it makes these guys look like superheroes over here. We're gonna get all the responses in on the 13th. They are going to look at all of the responses for all 5 categories. And then on the 18th, which is only 5 calendar days later, we're going to know who we're going to move on into the second phase. And and I'll talk second phase in a second. So they're going to be working overtime to make sure that they're working as fast as they can to get back and move this forward. So you guys are working hard, they're going to be working hard. So by the 18th, you're going to get an email from Procurement with a letter on there that'll say, welcome, we'd like you to move on to the second phase of the procurement. And at that point, we'll let you know what you're supposed to be. It says in the RFP, but it'll be a pricing worksheet, and you'll also be scheduled for an interview. That's the second phase. Or you'll get a letter saying, thank you for applying. We really enjoyed hearing from you. You're not going to go any farther. But our commitment is on the 18th, you will hear from us. So the second phase, if you have been invited to come to the second phase, what they're looking for is more in depth about what your particular solution is going to be, depending on the categories. You could also come back and say, let's say you went for 4 categories, they could come back and say, we would like you to apply for these 3 categories. So there's some variability there. So what we want to do is we also included the pricing worksheet in the RFP. As this isn't a secret, we want you to have this pricing worksheet. We want you to look at it. It's not due until phase 2, but you don't have a lot of time in between. So we want the pricing worksheet to be in your hands in case you do get moved to phase 2. If you can see, the pricing worksheet's due the 24th. So 6 days, calendar days after you find out whether you move to phase 2 or not, your pricing worksheet is due 6 calendar days later. Like I can say that enough. It's very fast. So we want to make sure that we're here for you. We're here to support you. If during those 6 days you have questions, we can work through that. But we want to make sure by the 24th, the pricing worksheet comes back. And then interviews are the 25th to the 27th. After phase 1 is done, we're going to be done with this whole thing within a week. Okay. Done. Now I'm not big and scary. So.
And now I get to speak about the meat of things. As you can see, this RFP is structured a bit differently. Our intent is we want to ensure that we have local presence engaged in this RFP process. We have a lot of our nonprofit local community partners who help support this effort now. And we want to make sure that they're engaged as much as possible. So please do keep that in mind when you're presenting your bids. We also recognize this is a very large effort. Our RFP started at 1,500 as the max capacity. We increased that to 2,000, and we're actually close to coming to that capacity right now. So the important piece is scalability. Also, we have no control over the amount of people who arrive. And when they arrive. And so we need to be able to flex as quickly as possible to be as successful as possible. The city is doing everything we can on our side to make sure that we have the resources needed to support that. But we will need any of you who are responding to one or more of these to be able to absorb that flexibility as well. Let's see, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So just to reiterate, you can apply for all scopes, one scope, however it's going to best meet our needs and you will be able to kind of fulfill that requirement. But again, if there are other ways and creative ways that you want to partner with folks here in this room, online, within the Denver community yourselves, please do so. We are looking for definitely creativity because this is new to all of us and we have been managing it the best way we can. But we are by no means the experts here. So please do use that creativity and let us know what you can provide. I don't think I have any more there. So I think now could be the question and answer portion. We'll start with folks in the room and then we will be going to the folks that are online with us today. So please raise your hand and let me know.
Can you confirm for me under what scopes, so like scope 2 and scope 3 have like a physical location? Will they be responsible for procuring the actual physical location? And if so, what will program management scope 1 have to do with that?
Program, I'll go with the program management scope first, and then I'll address the second part of that, or the first part of your question. Program management is responsible for making sure all of these pieces work together. So right now, we are program managing as Denver Human Services. It's a lot of work. We have other work that we need to be doing. So we need a core person, group, agency to oversee all of the other 4 scopes to make sure that they all work together seamlessly and to hold those folks accountable. You will have a contact with the city, always have a program management person here at the city that is your go-to, that will work very closely with you on all these the entire project. But that is the project management role. The other piece to your question are facilities. A huge challenge for all of us all the time. Currently, we have 3 hotels online that we're helping shelter folks, and then we have 1 congregate shelter that may or may not be coming offline at the end of this month. If there are proposers out there who have facilities, specifically congregate facilities is what we're looking for. Federal government has some limitations on hotel usage. So we're preferring congregate. However, we know how complicated that can be to procure. But if you have congregate shelters or any other sites that you want to propose, we're open to those as well.
And you're seeing that more under scope 2 and scope 3, those folks sort of having access to that facility, like program management is going to oversee everything, but not necessarily be in charge of finding extra facilities.
Right. It's under the 2 separate scopes there.
Perfect.
And we are also open to having our reception center be located with one of the shelter sites as well. We're not opposed to that. Yes, hi.
Again, on the facilities, so the attachment 5 of the RFP pricing worksheet shows 5 congregate and 5 non-congregate. Should we base our responses on the 10 total locations?
I do not recall that language being in there. I don't think we have a preference.
No.
No. Thank you. I'm looking at my people. I'm like, I do not recall that being in there. So I think
The Excel spreadsheet.
thank you. What I think we're expecting overarchingly is that we want to have congregate shelters that can house men, women, and families, and how to do that safely with appropriate separation, keeping in mind the numbers of folks we have. So, you know, if we can't find one facility that can house 2,000 people, I highly doubt we'll be able to do that. We're gonna need several. I don't know if any of you want to comment on the 5 on the spreadsheet.
We have an addendum going out
I
today.
think the 5 was also just to give you plenty of room to have different options. You can also, let's say you have more than 5, for let's say the non-congregate,
Non-congregate.
there you go.
Got it.
You can just add another spreadsheet, you can just copy it. So I think it was more for your capacity, not necessarily we're forcing you into a number. Does that make sense? Did I answer that?
We'll make sure it's clear in the addendum.
Yes.
To be really clear, one of the facilities we have right now for congregate shelter is a church that we are paying for and renting from them. So be really creative with your spaces. If you can only find a space that houses 100 or 200, I mean, it's an option. It's not the easiest to have to manage several sites because that means your staffing increases, your transportation, your food, like all that stuff gets a little bit more complicated. I just want to let you know those are possibilities as well. Yes.
If a program is able to offer one piece of one scope, is that something that they could apply for? Or are you looking for programs that can cover an entire scope of work?
My preference is it's one scope in its entirety. However, I think this is an ideal opportunity for all of you who may have a piece of a scope that you can offer, is to try to network with the folks in this room, folks online, and see how there could be some partnerships developed that could really help fill all the requirements of a specific scope. You're welcome.
Michelle, can you just reiterate where folks can find out who is kind of interested in this scope or this RFP again? Here's a mic.
Oh, sorry. I have a loud voice, but you could come here if you, I think, thank you. So the RFP is on BidNet. I'm assuming you all have downloaded it, because you're all here. Yeah. BID and ET, for anybody that is online, that can't see, thank you. It's very nice of you. And it is a service that the city uses. The reason we use this is because it's free. So what you'll have to do is you have to go on and register. I would recommend, if you don't want to spend, hope that isn't listening, you can toggle off the little advertising part of it. There's a little toggle and it's free. So it's a free way that city can put out all of our RFPs at once. We also are on Work for Denver, which is our how do you work with the city of Denver doing contracting. This procurement's also on there. So if you have somebody you want to send to there, that's a good place to have a lot of information, including what is on BidNet. But going back to your question, I'll be sending this solicitation work to show you all the different, I mean, it's a lot. So it'll be up to everybody to kind of piece through. Is it the refrigerator? Because I don't know if any of you are on BidNet, but you can sign up for any category you think your business does. So it'll be up to you to look at the hundreds that we have and kind of scale down to, and then reach out to those different businesses. Say, this is what we do. We're really good at food services. And we're here, we're local, and this is what we want. Can we partner with you? Did I answer your question?
So where would they find the list of those contacts for people who are interested in this RFP?
I will.
Document is it called?
It's the solicitations document report. I'll be sending that. I'll be putting that out on the communication tab in BidNet. We'll also be putting that on Work for Denver. So I have lots of different. If you're already are in there and you've already pulled the RFP, you'll be getting an email saying, hey, there's a new communication. And you go on there. It's solicitation documents report. As I said, I'll also be scanning these sign-in sheets and whoever's online. So you'll have lots of information on lots of different people to be able to contact.
I don't think we have any more in the room. So we have a team watching the chat.
No questions in the chat. I've asked folks to raise their hand. If you're online and you'd like to ask a question, just raise your hand and I'll have you come off mute. Perfect. Vishal?
Hi there, this is Vishal with HSG. Had a question regarding locale and whether or not there was a requirement, particularly to Denver, parameters wise. And this may be answered in the RFP, I apologize, but is there any limitations? Are there any limitations on how far out of Denver a site may be proposed?
No, there isn't right now. And I think based on the volume, I think we'd be willing to consider any location as long as it's not too far outside of Denver, as we don't want to disconnect folks too much from what's available here in the city and the surrounding metro areas, but we are open to other locations.
Okay, all right, very well, thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Josh Jackson.
Yes, so I was wondering, is there a DEI initiative included in this RFP? And if there is, what level of priority will that take in the proposals as well?
There is a requirement for all proposers to articulate their DEI approach and how they will ensure their programming follows those principles. And it is scored. Does that help?
Yes, that's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else online have any questions? Or in the room?
I just want to reiterate to the first question that we are not requiring you be in Denver. We just recognize that Denver is where this is all starting and where we're supporting the most people. There may be more opportunities outside of Denver, so don't hesitate to put that in your proposal. We're not actually scoring based on distance that I'm aware of, so we just want to make sure we're getting the supports we need for the folks arriving.
Will Denver-based companies be getting any type of priority at all?
To be clear, it's less about Denver-based versus Denver kind of, within 2 hours, you have a local presence in Denver is really where our focus is.
You say presence in Denver, do you mean already have a presence right now in Denver?
That is one of the preferences that we're scoring to, and I don't remember the scoring sheet. But one of our hopes is that if you do, you will be scored based on local presence within 2 hours, but at the same time, if you are partnering with others who have local presence in Denver, that also will help in your scoring.
All right, looks like my team's wasn't uploading questions. So there are questions in the chat. My apologies. The first question is, okay, hold on, let's get there. Yeah, the RFP states that the proposer must utilize all city-provided technology solutions. Can you share what tech the city utilizes?
Sure. I think to be clear, it's less about the equipment you use to track, but more about the databases we use to track the information we're required to track, but no more. And so we use our forms called Nintex, which all of our sites use to input data that we need to track and to make sure that we're able to, get people bus tickets, we're able to get them into shelter, we're able to get them moving on and understanding what their stay limit is. So that's really what we're referring to. It's more the city's database. You will be responsible for bringing the technology you need to help fulfill that function.
Next question is a little, there's several questions to it. Which of the 5 scopes does medical and health-related support services fall under? I'm just gonna read them all, and I think we can answer them together. What clinical and or non-clinical health-related services, if any, will be provided on site? Will Denver accept bids that propose clinical services like testing, vaccination, et cetera, and or non-clinical health-related services like harm reduction, family planning supplies, et cetera?
Thank you for the questions. That is not currently in the scope, with the exception of partnering with our local public health to make sure that there's screening available at intake, and whether that be our local public health or public health of other areas surrounding Denver if needed. And we have currently used local clinics to help support any medical needs that have come to fruition, but we have not asked for a separate scope related to medical needs.
Next question, is the program manager advising / supporting the DHS lead who is managing the other 4 categories, or is the program manager directly managing the other 4 categories and reporting to the DHS manager?
The second description is the accurate one. The DHS person or other city staff will be managing all of the work of the project manager or program manager, however we're going to call it. And that the program manager will be project manager will be managing all other scopes underneath. That is their responsibility.
Michelle, your turn again.
Mm-hmm.
This just came up again, so I think it is important to reiterate it, but will Denver be sharing the contact information of all webinar attendees to promote partnerships?
The answer to the question is most definitely. So as I said, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna give everybody some time to go home, go back to their computers and download the RFP. So you're a document holder. And then so we'll share that list. I'm gonna be sharing that list quite often. Probably once every couple of days, I will be sending out the document list, because as people download the documents, that will get bigger and bigger. So it'll be, and you can download it. I'm gonna download it as a static document. But you can also download this too on BidNet. And then you can turn it into a spreadsheet or whatever, and then call it any way you want. So I'll be writing this list a lot to you. I will also be scanning the sign-in sheets of everybody that joined us today in person and everyone that came virtually. We thank you all for attending this morning, and we want to make sure that information is also sent out. So I think you're going to be bombarded with information about who wants to partner in this. It'll just be up to all of you to look at the partners by which your business will fit well.
I just want to reiterate. I'm going to reiterate one more time, especially for folks online. Please go in now or as soon as you can and download off of BidNet. If you don't do that, you are not looked at as a participant in this process, so that you won't receive those documents. So please, please, please download from BidNet in whatever form you want so that you are registered and you will get all the communications, including the list of all those present here today. So.
And just for both online and in room. So online, we've got about 60 plus individuals, and then in room, we have about 20. So there's a lot of people that are interested, at least in what's being offered. So definitely echoing what Mimi said. Is there any other questions online and or in the room? One more question. Will Denver accept bids that propose the use of a technology platform to streamline the delivery and tracking of services across all 5 scopes and participating partners, as well as streamline reporting to the city's current database referenced on this webinar?
No, but thank you for the question.
Any other questions online?
Don't see any other questions in the room. So at this point, we'll conclude the question and answer portion. You are all welcome to hang out, talk with each other. We have this room until 12:30. You're welcome to partner within the room, see if there's any connections you can make, and we will answer any questions you have over the next several days. So please, reminder of the tight timeline, and thank you all for being here.
One last reminder,
sorry.
it's one of those, I always say this, please, from now on, communication can only be with dottie.procurement@denvergov.org. This makes it fair. So whenever you send anything to us, we will make sure that we send that answers out to everyone. We want to make sure everyone feels the same kind of love that you all feel right now. So please do not contact anybody besides Dottie.procurement. Don't contact Michelle. Don't contact Mimi. Don't contact Dave. Don't contact anybody. Just Dottie.procurement. And then the minute we get your questions, we'll try to answer them as fast as we can.
I got one for my own team. I'm sorry. Michelle, can these folks conduct their own networking meeting on their own site, on their own time, once they get your roster?
Yes, as long as you're not contacting anyone here, we really encourage that. There's some great providers in Denver. If you're not from Denver, there's some great providers in Denver. There's some, and if you see the scopes, they're all big and small. So we would really encourage reaching out and trying to make this the best fit for your business and really the best fit for Denver, because we're all here for the same reasons. Hope I answered that correctly. No, you're fine. Sorry, I shouldn't have, but
no, I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you all very, oh, yes, one question.
Before we go off networking, is it possible that maybe go around and kind of see who's in the room just to get an idea so we know maybe who we want to talk to?
We could. I think the other challenge though is you have several people online. So I don't know how best to do that. I would leave it kind of maybe up to you all. You're welcome to share a microphone and go around on your own, introduce yourselves to the room. If folks online want to stay connected, they can listen as well to the introductions, and we can just kind of remove ourselves from the conversation if that works for you all. Okay,
I think it's a great idea.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll hand over a microphone. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys want to do that? Do a little introduction? On the start?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Kathleen Carroll with Madison.
Yeah.
Local construction management firm. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Christina Ayer. I'm from Denver, but I work in Denver. So we currently run a a shelter for unaccompanied minors in Texas, 2,000 beds. And we've also run hotel-based shelters that do exactly this kind of a project out of Arizona and New Mexico. And we're looking to partner on this.
I mean, I like hotels and transportation and also food service.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aaron Wheeler. I'm with Sam with First Response. We are right now located in Washington, D.C. We are on the front lines of welcoming all the buses from Texas and Arizona that are coming to D.C. We have 2 relay centers, and I just able to go to Denver. So we are definitely looking to partner.
Hi, Daniel Smith with Tri-Unity. We are a program management firm that's local in Kansas.
We skip someone, I'll be on.
Hi, my name's Sean Davis. I run a transportation company in Denver.
Good morning, everybody. Alfonso Pugh with the Migrant Company, a local post-construction and commercial income.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Kirsten Roscoe. I'm with Innovative Emergency Management, or IEM, and we have operated shelters throughout the U.S. For migrant sheltering in particular. We are definitely interested in partnering with community members. So if anybody's interested, please go ahead and find me after this intro. Thank you. I'm Tanya Trademan, Executive Director of Haven of Hope, a 25-year-old shelter here in Denver. And we are serving migrants every single day.
Hi, everybody. I'm Samantha Camarino. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm here today on behalf of Atkins. I do subject matter expertise in matters of homelessness.
Mary O'Connor, Salvation Army. We have all kinds of programs at this point. We're rather looking at the food services component. We've done this through COVID, and we have done a lot of outreach food-wise for the migrants since before Christmas. My associate.
Yeah, my name is Katie Kohler. I also work at Salvation Army, and yeah, we're looking at food services. I think Salvation Army was particularly involved in delivering food to hotels throughout COVID. So we would really have to plug into that element as possible.
Matt Minry with SLS. We have operated and staffed migrant shelters before in the past, and we're looking for local people to team up with the city.
Ron Johnson with Cotton Commercial. We've operated some migrant shelters and emergency intake sites and do facility operations and management.
Joshua Jackson. I'm with the NAACP, Rocky Mountain NAACP. I work with CFW Staffing, and we work with IEM.
Everyone in the room is introduced, because if you're online, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. Whoever wants to.
St. Steve's All Hands Consulting.
Thanks, Steve. Anyone else?
Good morning, Rachel Langlis with Innovative Emergency Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Hello, Jay Clark with Catholic Charities of Denver.
Thank you, Catholic Charities.
Hello, this is Camille Hesterberg, also with IEM.
Thank you, IEM.
This is Michael Crossland, and also with CFW Staffing.
Thank you, Michael.
And hello, this is Eric Jones with Independent Consultant with Endeavors, formerly in American Red Cross, formerly.
Thank you, Endeavors.
This is Tracy Bowles with AMI. We specialize in comprehensive medical services and program management, and our capabilities include migrant emergency shelter management and support. Thank you very much for having the pre-proposal meeting.
Thank you, AMI.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jason Paulson with Ashford Management Logistics, specializing in migrant sheltering and asylum seeker sheltering as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Good morning. My name is David Mills. I'm also representing IEM, Innovative Emergency Management. Thank you.
Thank you, IEM.
Hi, everyone. This is Jesse Stock with Primary Health. We're a community health software platform that empowers a number of different things, including outreach, medical services, non-medical health related item distribution, and beyond. I left my contact information in the chat if anyone's looking for a platform to streamline services and reporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
You're looking at. Yeah.